All right, Chaplain Dean Alley here. I had a moment sipping on a little bit of coffee this morning and thought maybe I'd just do a real quick video just to discuss, obviously, the current events. I try not to be into politics. Unfortunately, this recent tragedy with Charlie Kirk resonates with me simply because I've been watching Charlie for quite some time. And I believe that he might have been president one day. Just my thoughts. That's how bright and sharp the gentleman was. I've seen him debate Oxford people. I've seen him debate different people, and he is a huge loss on this planet. However, I firmly believe because of his faith that he's in a better place. I know that sounds cliche, and people say, how do you know that's a better place? Well, I know because the Bible tells us. And he was a man of faith, and I will always remember him not only as a smart and intelligent individual, but a man of faith that believed in God and put his faith, hope, and trust in it. He made that very clear in most of his college campus visits that he did. And, when we look at this gentleman, I shouldn't say gentleman, but this fellow that took his life, and it gives me pause to say that he is the example of a person without God. He allowed his emotions to take over, and he committed a heinous crime. He could very well come to know Jesus one day. However, there's still the law of the land that has to be taken care of. In other words, you still may get the death penalty. You may get life in prison without possible parole. Of course, his life is ruined at this point. It's devastating, on both fronts. And I think about what was this individual lacking that made him turn the way he did. Now, there's all kinds of reports out there, and there's all kinds of things that say that he went to college and turned from what he was believing in to believing something different, or he felt that some would say that he was even more conservative than Charlie. He thought Charlie was not. I don't know. I don't know the truth of that. I can only speak to what it does to the situation. Now, I've heard people get on. I've seen writers write and say that this was not a martyred situation. This wasn't a place in history that there is martyr. I think of Stephen in the Bible. If you remember, Stephen was the very first martyr in the New Testament for his faith. Stephen wasn't an apostle. Stephen was a Christian that went about to the synagogues or churches or locations, and he preached Jesus as a Christian. And he loved Jesus. And he lost his life for what he believed in, as tragic as it is for a century. So when I think of Charlie Kirk, a Bible-believing individual, someone who is a man of faith, I think of Stephen comes to my mind. Now, I think Charlie had a lot of talent, and so devastating to see his wife and his children and all of his family members that are mourning at this point. There's no amount of anything to bring him back here, but we can rest assured to know that we'll see him one day. We know because David talked about it in Samuel. He said that he can't, talking about his son can't come down to see me, but I will go and see him one day. So we can put our comfort in that thinking, if you will. I think of that when I think of my parents or people that have gone on ahead of me. I take solace in that. Doesn't make me feel any better. Why? Because I want them here. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that want Charlie Kirk back, but we'll have to see him on the other side, if you will. But I think that when we talk about evil, and I put out a couple things today, this is just a little short blurb this morning. I feel compelled to say something. Many of the other YouTubers and other digital content folks that are putting their spin on it, I didn't even know about it. I was on vacation in New Hampshire, and I was actually with my brother and spending some good quality time with my baby brother. And I remember coming back to the hotel, and Gina said, my wife, she said, "Did you hear about Charlie Kirk?" And I'm like, "No," because number one, I didn't have my phone, which that was a vacation all by itself. And two, I hadn't heard about it. So I started to look at it when I got in, and I was sad. I was. I listened to his wife last night on his social media platform, Turning Point USA, and my heart went out to her. Regardless of anything on this planet, that was her husband, and that was the father of her children. So my heart went out. I was literally in tears personally because of the pain that she was experiencing. But I know there's joy behind the tears that she was even having eventually, I think, is in my viewpoint. But, when I think about Charlie, I think about how he stood for God. There's people coming on social media that are saying good things like, hey, I am a Christian because of you, Charlie. He was going after something that was very much a miss. What is that? He was focusing on the younger generation, which folks, they're going to be running the country, if not already in the future. Not for me because I'm towards the tail end of my career. But I believe that he definitely resonated a message to the young people. When he went around the colleges, he was fearless. He would debate anybody if they would have a conversation with him. Now, I saw many of the debates that people were pretty much ugly, already made their mind up before they came to the debate. I say the same thing. We should be free thinkers, not what we read, not what we saw or being told or being led to, but we should be a free thinking society. And people have that right. Now, as a military guy fighting for this country, because I believe as a patriot that we should respect the country we live in. And I hear it all the time with people that'll say things like I'm leaving United States because of the president and all these things. You know what, folks? Go spend some time in a third world country where they're drinking from a puddle, sleeping on a dirt floor, and not sure where they're going to eat next. And many of them, because we have them in our ministry that we support, is happy, if not happier than people in the United States. Why is that? That's because they have a faith and hope in Jesus. And I think Charlie resonated with the younger generation. Lots of people probably would come to know Jesus or have come to. And I think, I think of the fact that this one event, there could be hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions that will come to know God and Jesus because of this. And I don't know that for sure, but that legacy will always resonate. Now, as a martyr, Stephen was a martyr for standing up for his faith, going church to church, door to door, talking about the gospel. What was Charlie doing? He was doing the same thing. Therefore, in my opinion, he is a modern day martyr. People will argue with me, especially on Substack, all these intelligent people. Or here's a good one. There's a lot of negativity going around about the fact that, he said this, he stood for that, and there's no sympathy, empathy, or anything. And some really mean people laughing and, somebody losing their lives. I don't care who you are. I don't care. That is sad when people are celebrating somebody losing their life. And if you're so in tune to what politics is, you're shallow. Life is too short. I mean, governments have come and go for years. So when I see things on there, that just saddens me. I know I debate a lot of folks and I talk to a lot of different people and I get a lot of questions and I try to answer them from a biblical standpoint. I think Charlie tried to do the same thing and he tried to live it. And that I tip my cap to because I think that there's not very many people out there that would do this type of media communication about the gospel. Here at Dean Alley Ministries Incorporated, yes, we are here to glorify God and share the gospel. But when I do see the haters and the people making the statements, it's like people that pick on the Bible. They take a verse and they'll take it out of context to fit their narrative, to their thinking and shifting. The Bible's not made in Scripture to mold to your thinking. That's not how it works. The other way around. Your thinking molds to what the Bible is saying in the Scripture as well. Anyways, so I thought I would take just a few minutes and I would jump on here and say that we are going to miss Charlie Kirk, and I think the movement is going to get stronger. And I hope people wake up and realize that there is a judgment day coming. There is a day that will all be held accountable. at a bigger level that lasts eternity, not just a lifetime. Lifetime's what, a minute. My heart goes out for his family, his wife, his kids, the people that are close to him. My heart goes out to him, and I will continue to pray for that family and those people. And I can only hope that this evil gets squashed out. Now, I know we live in a world of principalities that we fight, and I'm telling you, there was a demon. There was something in him that caused him to do that, and that's what the devil tries to do. He tries to trick you, fool you. He's a deceiver from the beginning. That's the only thing I could think of. Nevertheless, I'm going to continue to pray for the Kirk family. I'm going to uh, continue my quest of putting out the gospel and sharing it regardless. And I think that Kirk, in my opinion, is now considered a martyr in modern day. Chaplain Dean Alley, taking 2 minutes, just say something. All right. Bye-bye. God bless.